Good afternoon. Pleasure to see you all here today. We're going to be speaking about a public health crisis today, which is the issue of vaping. Before we begin, I'd just like to go around the table and introduce the people who are here today. We'll start on my right. Kevin, why don't you start? Introduce yourself and the name of your organization, and then we'll go around the table.
Sure. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty. I'm with the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids.
I'm Sarah Ravenhall, Executive Director at the New York State Association of County Health Officials.
And I'm Ellie Ward with the Academy of Pediatrics.
I'm Julia Zarkauer with Students Against Nicotine.
Dina Caratenuto, Deputy Secretary for Legislative Affairs for the Governor.
Beth Garvey, Special Counsel to the Governor.
Howard Zucker, Commissioner of Health.
Andrew Cuomo, a friend of Dr. Howard Zucker.
I'm Meredith Berkman, a co-founder of Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes, PAVE.
Matt Myers, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids.
I'm Jane Harsha, First Vice President of New York State Parent Teacher Association.
I'm Mary Ruth Bushness. I am President of New York County Medical Society, and I'm representing the Medical Society of the State of New York today.
I'm Doreen Furman, one of the co-founders of Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes.
And I'm Kyle Velikopitsky, the Executive Director of the New York State Parent Teacher Association.
Thank you, and thank you all very much for being here. The issue of vaping is something that we've been working on. It's something that Dr. Zucker, the entire health community, has been very concerned about for many months now. The numbers are growing exponentially. We have over 2,700 people hospitalized in this country. We have about 60 deaths so far nationwide. We've had 4 deaths here in the state of New York. And if you look at the usage, the vaping usage, it is increasing astronomically. 40% of 12th graders are now estimated to be vaping. 27% of high school students. That's a 160% increase between 2014 and 2018. A 160% increase. So the number is going like that. We tried to address it with emergency regulations done by the State Department of Health. The federal government has done absolutely nothing on this issue. So the State Department of Health issued emergency regulations. The vaping industry challenged those regulations and have stopped the enforcement of those regulations. So our answer is to come back now by passing a state law that will then be inarguable when it's questioned by the vaping industry. And the law will do 6 things. First, bans flavored nicotine, including menthol. You look at the flavors that the vaping companies now have. You can see how they're targeted to young people. Names like Captain Crunch, Bubble Gum, Gummy Bear, Banana Nut Bread, Pink Lemonade, Fruit Loops. Remember Fruit Loops? Key Lime Pie, Banana Bash, Blue Raspberry Pop, Meteor Milk Space Jam. So these are the flavors that are attracting young people with the name and the marketing that is targeted to young people. The law will also restrict all advertising that is targeted to young people, especially the ads they're now running on social media. Those will be outlawed. It will ban carrier oils. They often mix nicotine as a vaping product with carrier oils. Many of the oils have been found to be dangerous, vitamin E acetate among them. Castor oil is another oil that they use to carry the chemicals. But it would ban carrier oils that the Department of Health says are dangerous. It would increase the penalties for the retailers. It would double the fine for the first violation, triple a fine for any subsequent violations. Ban all sales in pharmacy and ban online sales, which is key. The law now says you have to be 21 years old to purchase it, but the online sales are the great loophole in the current system. So banning the online sales would stop that. We feel very good about the law. It's a comprehensive law. We think it would be the best law in the United States. Now we just have to get it passed, and I want my colleagues in the legislature to know, the Assembly and the Senate, this is literally a matter of life and death. Literally every day more kids are getting addicted, and this is a top priority. I've included it in my budget, but one way or the other, by April 1, this has to become law, and there is no excuse for it. You're jeopardizing the health of young people. This is a scourge, and we have to stop it. It's not going to stop on its own. Last point is, this is truly a cruel and tragic irony. You know, my generation, we had the lure and the mistake of smoking cigarettes, right? That's what the cool young people did. You smoked cigarettes, and it then took us 30 years to fight the cigarette industry. Matthew Myers, who's with us here today, was a pioneer in fighting the tobacco companies. And they were sued, the federal government sued them, the attorneys general sued them. We finally came up with a settlement. We finally stopped advertising to young people. We finally stopped the Joe Camel advertising, the Marlboro Man, all these things that went to young people, the way they marketed cigarettes in films with Hollywood actors, and we defeated all of that at a great cost. Millions of people were addicted to nicotine. Millions of people got cancer. But we made tremendous progress. And now it's deja vu. This is a cigarette in a different wrapper. And by the way, may even be a more dangerous wrapper, because we don't even know. We don't even know what the chemicals are, what it means to inhale this. And it's marketed as, this is cool. You want to be cool. You feel peer pressure. You want to be the cool kid in school. You want to be cool at the party. All the cool kids do it. No. All the stupid kids do it. All the immature kids do it. All the foolish kids do it. If the chemicals don't kill you, you wind up addicted to nicotine. And that is a terrible scourge to carry for the rest of your life. So this is one of those situations where government has the obligation to step up and protect young people who need protection. And they need protection, especially when they have a whole marketing machine that is selling them, this is cool and this is safe and it's not like cigarettes. This is the safe alternative to cigarettes. Baloney. It's a fraud. With that, let me turn over to Dr. Zucker, our great health commissioner.
Thank you, Governor. And as the governor said, vaping is a public health crisis. It is targeting our young people and it's claiming too many lives. We have a responsibility to use every tool at our disposal to keep our young people safe and away from a potentially deadly and lifelong addiction. The governor outlined a broad and effective strategy to combat this crisis, and as he said, we fought against the tobacco companies and won, and we can do it again. Our state public health lab, the Wadsworth Center, is continuing to investigate vaping, and we have really helped frame the narrative on the national level, and will continue to test all products associated with illnesses that we receive as part of our ongoing investigation. The Department of Health has launched a statewide TV advertising campaign aimed at educating teenagers and their parents about the dangers of vaping. We've also passed permanent rules requiring stores in New York State that sell vaping products to post signage on the dangers of using illegal e-cigarette and vaping products. And as the governor said, it is undeniable that the vaping industry is using flavored e-cigarettes to get young people hooked on potentially dangerous and deadly products. And we've got to put a stop to it, and stop to it now. Under Governor Cuomo's leadership and in partnership with the anti-vaping advocates, we will continue to take aggressive steps to protect the public health of all New Yorkers, especially our young people. Thank you. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner. We'll now hear from Matthew Myers, who has a long history in this fight, both the cigarette fight, the tobacco fight, which is now morphed into the vaping fight. Mr. Myers?
Thank you very much. And on behalf of the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, I'm here to express our strong support for the leadership shown by Governor Cuomo, Dr. Zucker, and the entire state of New York in reducing tobacco use first, and now tackling what is truly a totally preventable crisis of youth e-cigarette use. You know, it is now time, without any hesitation, to end the sale of all flavored cigarettes in New York. Some problems are hard to solve. This one isn't. We know what's causing this problem. Passage of such legislation would be an enormous victory for New York's kids and protect them from nicotine addiction. You know, I've been in this in a long time. New York has long been a leader in the fight to reduce the death and disease caused by tobacco use. As a result of that long-standing commitment, cigarette smoking among high school kids in New York dropped from over 27% just 20 years ago to under 5% today. It's hard to overstate how important a public health victory that is. It's among the lowest smoking rates in the country. New York did something else, which is New York is the only state that in reducing tobacco use also reduced the disparity between low-income individuals and high-income individuals who suffer from tobacco use. But the reason we're here today with such urgency, and this is urgent, is that just as New York seemed to be about to create the very first tobacco-free generation, along came e-cigarettes with its highly flavored, extraordinarily addictive products to addict a whole new generation. And the kids that they are addicting are the kids who never would have smoked. This isn't replacing cigarettes. This is adding to an entire new generation. And as you watch what they do, the e-cigarette industry is using the exact same tactics used by big tobacco: flavored products, heavy marketing, imagery to appeal to young people, all with one goal in mind: addict a new generation. And the evidence is clear that flavored e-cigarettes have fueled this epidemic. Ask any kid in any school. You won't find a kid who's using any other product. We're here today because we face a genuine crisis. It is hard to overstate the potential impact of the youth e-cigarette epidemic on our long-term effort to reduce the death and disease from tobacco use. And we know that we won't succeed unless strong and bold comprehensive legislation is enacted. We also know something else. We can't afford to wait another day. Last year, 1.5 million kids became addicted for the very first time. Every day we delay, more kids become hooked. And we must realize that halfway measures of those along the lines of what was announced by the federal government just last month won't solve the problem. The federal government made a lot of noise, but the reality is they left on the market thousands of flavored e-cigarette products. Kids have already begun to switch. If ever there was a lesson that said, if we're going to protect our kids, it's up to the states to do so, and it requires the kind of comprehensive package that Governor Cuomo and Dr. Zucker have introduced today. There are other important components of this that we hope that are critical. Eliminating the sale of e-cigarettes and all other tobacco products in pharmacies. They don't belong there. Prohibiting coupons and other price discounts that make these products appealable to kids. And increased penalties on retailers who continue to sell. In short, the package being introduced by Governor Cuomo is an historic package of reforms that will keep New York in the vanguard of tobacco control. More important to me, it will prevent the e-cigarette industry from addicting another generation of youth in this state. On behalf of my organization, and I believe every organization represented up here today, we're committed to supporting and working with Governor Cuomo and the New York State Legislature to get this job done. We don't have time to waste. We believe this is a critical problem with direct, simple solutions, and this legislation attacks it. Our hope is that we'll come back by April 1, and this job will be job done, kids protected, when they leave and come back to school this fall, they won't be facing this crisis any further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Myers. Well said. We'll now hear from Meredith Berkman, who has brought energy and organization to this effort. You have a lot of parents who are very concerned about what's going on. They see it, they feel it. They're out of control, and Meredith Berkman has been organizing that angst and turning it into energy to make change. So I want to applaud her and welcome her now.
Thank you so much, Governor. We are really, really grateful to be here. I'm Meredith Berkman. I'm a co-founder of Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes and a New York mom of 4. And I'm here with my co-founder, Dorian Furman, a New York mom of 3. The catalyst for our creating Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes, or PAVE, was our discovery in April 2018 that a Juul representative had entered our son's high school through an outside anti-addiction group without the school's knowledge and told the 9th graders, without other adults present, that Juul was, quote, totally safe and would receive FDA approval, quote, any day. And both of those statements remain untrue. This so-called educator took out his Juul, showed my son and Dorian's son how it worked, and called it the iPhone of vapes. So as we outraged moms began researching this topic, we were shocked by the scope of this adolescent public health crisis. And we were also shocked to discover the scope of vaping companies' predatory behavior. And we realized that these companies like Juul, but now joined by many, many others, were methodically targeting teens through the use of kid-friendly flavors, as discussed, by young-looking influencers and social media marketing. And in response, we created what we hoped would become the vaping version of Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And we very quickly have gone from sitting around our kitchen tables working on this to sitting around the White House conference room table at the president's so-called vaping summit last fall. But that meeting did not go well because the FDA's latest guidance has not gone far enough at all to protect our kids from these highly addictive flavored e-cigarettes that contain enormous amounts of nicotine that harm their developing brains, and an enormous cocktail of unknown toxins, some known and others not, that harm their developing lungs. And that's why we are so grateful for the governor's focus on clearing the market of all flavored e-cigarettes, and even more for his instinctive understanding that we are literally, as said, in a race against time. The governor is right, the health commissioner is right, Matthew Myers is right. This is an emergency. These are kids we're talking about. If we don't take action to get rid of the flavors that continue to hook these kids every day on these dangerous products that we don't even know, as the governor said in the end, how dangerous they really are, there is no chance of slowing the shocking rate of growth of this epidemic. We call ourselves momvacates. We're moms who advocate, and I'm really happy to be sitting here today next to the Dadvocate-in-Chief of New York. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate the governor's resolve to get this done in his budget by April 1st, because his urgency matches our own and that of all parents in New York and across the country. We're very grateful to have a strong partner in Governor Cuomo. We'll do everything that we can, that all of us can, to help get this proposal done in the budget to protect kids. Our tagline is Big Tobacco messed with the wrong moms. And today I'm very happy to say Big Tobacco has messed with the wrong governor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Well
you,
said.
Governor.
Thank you.